We got a bombshell show coming up right now. I like talking about the new Earth because if you think about it, this Earth that we're living on right now is so screwed up, and I just want to go somewhere else and not have to deal with any of this stuff. And some people say, oh, why do you keep talking about this new Earth stuff, Dan? I do it because it feels right. And some people might think this is like the 2012 thing where nothing's going to happen, but for some reason this feels different. Like in your cells, you can feel that something's going to change. And I came across this interview from Shane on Unbiased and on the Fence, and Angela was talking about her son Christopher, who's on the new Earth. So now we got more actual proof of what's going on over there and how this is starting to unfold. So this is getting real exciting. And she actually joins me right now. Angela, thank you for joining me from Canada.
Hi, Dan. Thank you for having me on your show. It's a pleasure. It's an honor.
I want to say I appreciate you so much talking about this stuff because you're really brave to do it, to come out. A lot of people need to hear this stuff. I know it helped me when I heard it because you're starting to clarify. You hear this stuff in these QHHT sessions, and it's like, is it real? Is it not? And now to actually hear from someone on the other side that this is starting to confirm all this stuff, and we start to get some substance here, really makes it like, yes, maybe this is going to happen soon, and we can all live on that new Earth and have all the free energy, levitation, transportation, all that stuff. So get into your background a little bit, because I want to give the audience a little synopsis of how long have you been into this, because I don't think your son was into it. So give me your background, and then give me your son Christopher's background.
Sure. I pretty much woke up 30 years ago, 1987, when my oldest son was born, and I grew up in church, basically. We spent 5 days a week going to church, so hardcore Christian. And right after my son was born in 1987, the church shunned me out of the church, which was in retrospect a blessing in disguise. And I believe my oldest son was the conduit for me to get out of that church. And so basically I went from one extreme, from hardcore religious dogma, to the other extreme, to wanting to know the truth, wanting to know, why am I here? What am I doing here? Where did I come from? Where do we go when we die? And I went to the library to get more answers. Remember, this is before internet, before 1987, before cell phones, anything. And back then, there was nothing on the shelf, just a couple of books. You know, you had to blow the dust off the New Age stuff. And so, yeah, that was my big awakening. And I got into the Seth material. And then my brother in 1990 actually introduced me to the Ramtha material, which really opened up my eyes. And then I got on the soapbox trying to wake everybody up in 1990 about what's about to come, what Ramtha was talking about the New World Order, about the Illuminati, how this planet is basically enslaved and controlled by them, and that, you know, eventually we're going to be microchipped, and there's, you know, all this stuff happening before even you had debit cards. So I tried to wake people up, and back then, people thought, oh, yeah, crazy, you know, I'm crazy in the head, and then conspiracy theorists and all that.
It was a lot harder to wake people up back then.
Back then, exactly right. And then it just snowballed. I was obsessed. I mean, I was living, breathing, you know, thinking New Age stuff. And I really got into David Icke also for a few years, which got me into the big anger mode of, oh, the damn Illuminatis, you know, how come they control us and stuff. And then I realized, wait a minute, if they're living and, you know, living off our dark energies, our fear energies, anger, grief, anything like that, I'm actually feeding them by giving them my anger. So I decided to put them on a diet and not and get away from anger. And I actually gave away all my David Icke books, but I still am into David Icke, but and that really woke me up about the reptilians on the planet and everything else. And yeah, Christopher was born in 1990, and he was born premature, so he was this tiny little 4-pound baby. Ironically, he couldn't wait to get here, came in like a lion, the Leo child.
He was your middle son of 3?
He was my middle son of 3, yes, correct. And I tried to wake him up, as like all three boys, right? And because of their dad's influence, he thought I was into witchcraft and all that stuff, which made, basically made us divorce at the end for many other reasons too. But he was not on the same page as me when it came to spirituality, and so he kind of always, I think, was not really open-minded, and the boys kind of went his way. And so it was really hard trying to wake them up. And I tried to, tell Christopher about it. And when he was older, just a few years ago, he was really into quantum physics. He tried to figure out himself too, while he was already like 25 years old. Why am I here? What am I doing here? Where do we go? This isn't making any sense. And as much as I tried to tell him, there was always that, oh, yeah, sure, Mom, you're a conspiracy theorist and blah, blah, blah. So he kind of went down the road of Einstein, quantum physics, string theory. He introduced me to that. He came up to me in the kitchen a couple of years ago talking about Schrödinger's cat. And I'm like, what the heck is that? And I had to Google that. And then he told me about spooky action at a distance that Einstein was talking about and all that. And, to me, that was kind of more new stuff that I've never heard of before, where I was leaning more towards the metaphysical stuff and the New Age stuff and, Reiki and chakras and crystals. And he was making fun of me all the time, that I had crystals and angels around the place and Jesus pictures. And but I mean, the two of us, we made a perfect blend when we talked about all this kind of stuff. So, and he was very much a humanitarian. He tried to help everybody. He tried to make everybody feel better. When he was a kid in school, he helped the underdog that got bullied, and he would stand up for them, or any special needs children, he would stand up for them. He tried to help the whole world, and at the end he realized it was impossible for one person to save the whole world, and so he ended up very depressed. He got onto antidepressants, and then it just went down that road, and he ended up taking his life. And later on, he communicated with me that it was actually written into his life plan that this would have to happen. And from very early on, when he was very little, out of all three boys, he's the one that I always subconsciously knew. I had this voice in the back of my head that I always tried to get rid of, and it wouldn't shut up, and it would kept telling me, you will lose this child one day, very young. And I never knew how and when. And I think he knew about that too. He had that fear in him too, that he knew he was going to check out early, but he didn't know how and when. He was a construction worker, so I thought that maybe one day I would lose him in a work accident. He was like building high rises and stuff and tethered down, and he'd tell me all these horror stories, and I was worried that I was going to lose him like that one day. And I'd pray and pray and pray for him more than the other two boys, knowing I would lose him. And, at the same time, I didn't want to put fear into it and manifest it. But there were so many signs when he was growing up that I was going to lose him. I just didn't know when and how. And also he traveled the world, and I thought maybe one day I would lose him in an airplane accident or being shot in Vietnam, which almost happened actually to him. And so just a few months before he passed away, I have 3 big pictures hanging in the hallway. One morning I'm laying in bed and I hear this big crash, bang, and I'm like, what the heck? It felt like a bomb was going off. There was his picture. It fell off the wall, and the glass shattered into millions of pieces. And I thought, uh-oh, here we go. It's just around the corner. And sure enough, 2 months later, he was gone.
Oh, man.
So, yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be pretty emotional for you. And like I said, I'm so glad you have the bravery to speak out on this, because this is real important for everybody. So let's go through, okay, so how does this work when he contacts you? Is it just like, do you see something? Is it just words? How does that work?
So what happened is he passed away October 8th, just when I go back by the time, October 8th, 2016. And 4 months later, I got the very first download. And which kind of blew me away. I mean, I actually wrote it in my diary, which I wrote a lot and journaled a lot, which was part of the grieving, helping me grieving the process. So I can actually read it to you if you want. Then it kind of gives you an idea how the download came.
Yeah, sure.
It's not going to be too long here. So the very first one was 4 months later after he passed away, February 1st. And I wrote in my journal, I woke up with a nasty migraine. So I had coffee and laid on the couch in the morning, waiting for my migraine to go away. As I laid there, still somewhat in la-la land from waking up, I looked out the window and I thought of you and everything that happened. So this, when I journal, it's like I'm writing him a letter. And then I said, I started asking you questions telepathically, and I got answers from you. Yes. At first, I brushed it off as wishful thinking or imagination, but I could actually feel your spirit, your spunk, your joy, your happy face with your happy glowing eyes. So I asked away, and you were shooting answers at me telepathically so fast, I got downloaded information. I can't even describe it or put it into words, but let's just say that you would give me like 4 to 5 sentences in 5 seconds. And I got it all without wrapping my brain around how it worked or how you did it. But I've heard about this same fact from so many near-death experience people on YouTube saying the same thing, getting tons of information in seconds without knowing how. And oh, how sweet and tedious it makes our speaking technique look. Never mind writing. So here's what I asked and what you told me telepathically, all laced with your immense joy and big smile and happy eyes. And so the first few questions, forgive me, but they're very, very personal. I asked him what happened that night. He took his life and how he crossed over. So I don't want to get into that because it's a bit too heavy and it doesn't really, I want to get more into the new age, not the event, right? What he's telling me. And the first one I asked him that may not tie into the event, but I find it's very important, if that's okay, if I could mention that.
Yeah.
So I asked him, do you see us cry down here all the time? Because this actually helps other people too who have lost loved ones. And, they're wondering if the people on the other side, if they can see us every time we're crying and we're grieving, right? So I asked him, do you see us cry down here all the time? And he said, no, Mom, it's hard to explain. It's like this. We can ask to see you wherever we want, whenever we want. The guides let us look in on you anytime we feel like it. But when you guys are crying and grieving down there, we are actually being kept away from you because it would only upset us all the time. And we would not be able to heal and move on up here. So they keep us from seeing that. However, if we and our guides think it would be very beneficial for us and our soul's growth to learn from what our wrong actions have caused to our loved ones left behind, then we are allowed to go into the viewing room and they will pick whichever scenario from whoever is crying that would best suit us and let us watch it. And that is the only time we would see you cry and grieve. So I found that very interesting because, I've heard before that if we're crying a lot down here, then we just keep pulling them down here. They can't move on. And so he actually confirmed that, so that they're not allowed to see us cry too much unless the guides tell them, okay, this is what you can see and only that part, right? And
that's interesting, though. So he's got to go to a separate room in order to kind of make contact.
Yeah, like he said, he can watch us anytime we want to, but when it comes to us crying and grieving, the guides will purposely keep them away. They're not allowed to see that because it will hinder them. It will only pull them back down. It will not help them grow. But if the guides decide, okay, this would be beneficial for your soul to grow, then they will pick snippets of us crying down here and say, okay, you made this person cry. Look what you've done with taking your life, you know, and that would actually help him with his soul's growth.
Did he say how the guides look? Are they actually like physical? That's a bad word to use, but physical as in like Christopher on the New Earth, that he can see them, or is it more of a spiritual energy that the guides are?
You mean, did he describe what the guides look like?
Yeah, because is it just like another being like him on the New Earth, or is it?
He didn't really get into that.
Okay.
No,
Because I'm wondering how that works.
Yeah, I could ask him if he ever comes through again. So this was just more personal stuff. You forgive me.
So this is the first. When was this download taking place?
So this was February 1st when I was laying on the couch, and he came through very fast and furious, and that's when I asked him, and then I asked him a couple of more questions, and then he disappeared. So I'll quickly go on to that, and then it goes into what he's doing over there, the real beef and potatoes. So I did ask him, what does it look like on the other side? And he said, it's same as Earth, but a million times more magical with brilliant colors. There's no pain, only unconditional love and joy. You can manifest anything you want only by thinking about it, and then it appears in front of you. So that was interesting.
It sounds amazing.
Yeah, and then the next question, I asked him, do you have to eat over there? And he said, only if you want to, and if you miss having a yummy meal like you did on Earth. But you don't need food to live or survive. Oh, and you manifest it with your thoughts, too, instantly. And no animals get killed for it. A steak will still taste like a steak on Earth, but it's not made from an animal. It's your thoughts that create it. So if you're worried about crossing over and you can't have your T-bone steak and your baked potato, don't worry, you can manifest it.
Yeah, there's a lot like that. Even my co-host Pete on this show, I was talking to him about being more spiritual and uplifting. He's like, I can't, that he needs to have the chickens and the beef and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it's still there for him, I guess, if he needs it.
If you need to, right? Then I asked him, do you still look the same? Do you still look the same? And he said, yeah, but bigger, taller, and buffer with tons of blonde lion mane hair. And he had a big smile because he always felt like he was puny because he was born premature, and his two brothers are 6'4" and he's only 5'10", and they had the big blonde hair, and he had, you know, a receding hairline. So he was always very self-conscious of how he looked and his body. And so now he said, you can be anything you want over there. You can shapeshift into anything you want to. And so he made himself look like Thor, you know, the big buff tanned with blonde, big lion mane. So that's what he said there. And so here, now we're getting into the big, you know, important stuff. This is still February 1st, the very first download. I asked him, are we really stuck down here in a computer simulated program, like a prison matrix? And Christopher said, yes, Earth, where you are, is a huge simulator, so we could all express ourselves inside the things we have created together. But it all got hijacked eons ago by dark, nasty bullies who wanted to control everything. They made us all into slaves. They spread like a dark cancer on Earth, but they are all being taken out now because it is cancerous and affecting the rest of the systems in the galaxies. We are all connected, and so this cancer has to go now before it destroys everything. This is happening now on Earth. That's why there's so much chaos. They don't want to leave as they feed off our low emotions of fear and anger and pain and grief. It's all coming to an end soon.
Oh, yeah. I'm all for that.
No kidding, right? And so I asked him, what do you do all day? Do you get bored? And he said, no, Mom. And he chuckled. I still build things because he was in construction. And I visit people and have fun. There are no days or nights. It's all just a wonderful now moment. I gotta go, Mom. I gotta go. And that was kind of bizarre, right? And I
Yeah,
said,
you're thinking of all the time in the world over there.
I know, right? And I had a million questions, and we're just starting to get into all this stuff, right? And I said, don't go, stay for a bit longer, please. And he said, I'm sorry, Mom, I gotta go. My friend is waiting, I gotta go. And he said it very urgently and impatiently, like, you know, he had to go pee real bad, like, I gotta go, right? And so I asked him quickly before he left, where do you have to go? And he said, my friend and I are busy building white healing domes. I'm still in construction. And I said, healing domes for what? And why do you have to build them when you can manifest everything else instantly by just using your thoughts? And so he said, we have to build them because a lot of detail and thought has to go into it. It's a big project, and many of us are creating it together. The white healing domes are for a lot of people and souls that will be crossing over to our side soon, all at the same time. That's why we have to hurry and work at it together. And then he actually downloaded a picture into my brain. It's kind of hard to describe how that works, but all of a sudden you see a picture, right? And it was bird's eye view of me hovering over this lush green meadow that was like neon green. I've never seen such a vibrant green before. And there were about 25, 30 white healing domes that looked like mushrooms from above, right? And so he downloaded that picture into my brain.
When those come in, is it like a light energy rush that you feel, like boom, the picture?
Not like, no, I didn't feel like an energy rush, but it just like, you know, 1 minute I'm conversing with him and I'm getting telepathic like messages from him, and then next I like see a picture crystal clear, and then it was gone. And then, you know, so I said to him, okay, no worries, thanks for the visit. And he said, I love you, Mom, bye for now. And poof, he was gone. And it's like, come on. And so right away after that, I got up and I Googled the healing domes. And I have to tell you right now, I'm actually embarrassed that I've never heard of the healing domes, because I'm in the healing field. I've been a registered massage therapist for 22 years, and we constantly have to take courses to upgrade. And so you'd think over the last 22 years that would have crossed my field of, you know, the healing field, and I've never heard of them before. So that was even more confirmation that I'm not making stuff up, right? So I Googled it for some images, and there's actually a company in Washington State who builds them. It's called Pacifico Healing Domes, something like that. I can send you the link later if you want.
Yeah.
And they have amazing healing domes, and they have them all inside. There's massage tables inside, and they do healing energies with that. They call them healing domes. But the only difference between the picture that I found online and the picture he downloaded into my brain was the ones online. They're all in like, you know, it's like a golf ball, right? It's got it's not perfectly round. What he showed me was perfectly round, kind of like a mushroom, basically without any windows, without any doors. I kind of figure, well, how do you get in and how do you get out? But so that was the only difference. But I got the idea of what they would look like inside and what they're for.
Did he say, because I thought I remember you saying something about being able to see the sky.
That was later on when I asked him, when he came back 2 weeks later on Valentine's Day, when I got my second download, because I kept trying to reconnect with him every night, nothing. And then Valentine's Day, not during the day, but at night, just before I went to sleep. And I have a hard time going to sleep. It takes about 2-3 hours to fall asleep. So it's not like, boom, I'm gone and I'm dreaming and now I'm assuming that it's a download from him. It's like, no, I lay there, I'm like, and all of a sudden, you know, he comes through. So I know I'm not dreaming, right? But he gave me this big, huge download on Valentine's Day at night. And at the end of the download, you know, I was like this, you know, I was fading, right? And he said to me very sternly, Mom, I'm losing you, you're fading, sit up, get up right now and write all this information down because you will have forgotten it in the morning. And I'm so glad I did. I got up and I wrote it all down into my art book, actually, which is a separate book from my journal diary. But I didn't have anything right next to me, so I'm like, writing it all in there, little bits and pieces. And my art was part of my therapy to get over my grief. But so I just wrote it all down, and sure enough, the next day I opened it up and I'm reading all these messages from him about future events, and I'm so glad I wrote it down because I almost forgot.
Yeah, because like any dream, it's like when you're in it, you feel like this ain't a dream, but when you're in a dream state, it feels so real when you're there. Then you wake up the next day, it's like, what was that dream about? You completely forget, and it just disappears from you.
Exactly, right. After the first download with the healing domes, between February 1st and 14th, I sent Alexandra Metters that download with the healing domes, and she confirmed it. And then she actually said to me in the email, if you have any more downloads from your son, please do ask him, by the way, why he's building them. And, because I want to know. And so when he came through February 14th and gave me the reasons why he's building them and all the other future events, I emailed her with that information as well. And so she confirmed that as well. So if you want, I can go into the Valentine's Day messages from him.
Absolutely. Carry on.
I asked him about the healing domes, and he said the healing domes are for the asleep people. And he actually called them the Walmart people, but without judgment. He's kind of a jokester, right? He didn't mean any judgment with that. The healing domes are for the asleep people crossing over soon in big numbers with the rest of us, like us. They will be traumatized because 1 minute they will be in front of their TVs and the next minute will find themselves in our healing domes going WTF. He said the whole sentence, but you can kind of feel it. That was him, right? You can just figure it out.
See, now this surprises me a little bit because you would think, I didn't think that if these people weren't awake that they wouldn't transition, but apparently they do.
That's what I was thinking too, like how, is this like an automatic thing? And that's actually what made me think about it the last few months too, that, you and I and so many other light workers have been working so hard at it to wake people up and to make the switch into 5D. And here's the people that are the Walmart people. They don't even know why they're here, what their purpose is, where they're going, and they're getting this free trip, right? And it kind of made me feel like, I did all this hard work, and I'm pulling the wagon, and you're just like sitting on my coattails, and I'm giving you a free ride into heaven, right? But I mean, that's what he said. So I don't know. I guess we're all going to make it.
Well, that's good then, because some people are worried about their family members, like if they're not going to make it because they're not into this stuff, and apparently they'll be all right. So. Yeah,
and I think, at the end of the day, it all boils down to frequency and vibration. And I mean, I see the world splitting now in two. Basically, one is, service to self and me, and greed and control and anger and fear. And then the other side, I see people of service to others and filled of love and compassion. And, so I think if you have a good heart and if you have love in your heart and you want to help, then you're going to automatically go with into 5D. But if you're still thinking about, money and power and greed and all that, then you're not going to make it. So that's what I'm thinking. But
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I guess we'll see at the end of the day what will happen, right? So then I asked him, so tell me why or how so many people will cross over. Is it going to be from World War III? And he was very adamantly, and he said, no war, no World War III, not allowed. it may look like that from the outside and that Donald Trump wants World War III, but he's only trying to turn this ship around, and it's making huge waves, but it's shaking the fleas off the dog, and the rats are jumping ship. He's cleaning this mess up. They, in capital letters, meaning the Illuminati, they want to push for World War III because they are desperate and want to harvest as many souls as possible before they have to leave. No war, don't worry. It will get a bit more ugly for a bit longer, but not much. It's cleanup time. And, just keep in mind, too, and I said this to Shane as well from Unbiased and On the Fence, that I got this message about Donald Trump on Valentine's Day 2017, and he had only just been in office for, 3-4 weeks maybe, and people still didn't know what he was all about, what he was going to do. I didn't even know. I kind of figured, well, you got Hillary Clinton and you got Donald Trump. I'm just like, which is better, right?
Yep.
I didn't know what to make of Donald Trump, but this is what he said. So he doesn't, people think it's going to be, he's going to want World War III when it's actually the Illuminati who are going to push for it. And Donald Trump is here to clean up the mess and drain the swamp.
Yep, absolutely. So we couldn't even see that then, but now we can see how much purging is going on and all the corruption, the pedophilia is coming out.
Exactly. And I didn't have any clue about any of that. So, for him to say stuff like that, and for me to not even be into politics, I don't know too much about, especially American politics, no offense. I just don't know too much about, liberals, and it's all Greek to me. So for him to say political stuff, why would I be making that up, right? So
yeah, you don't really want to get involved.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want to get involved. Yeah, I'll just stay in Canada in my polar bear cave.
Yeah, I just found out if you check out, because I was reading some tweets and it's like people are complaining about Trump and that some of the tweets. I was like, what's wrong with this tweet? He's showing that the FBI is not doing their job. And it's like, people are hurt about that. So it's like, I don't understand that. So it's just better not to get involved. Don't bring your vibration down and stay in that high vibe.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking too. Like, educate yourself and see what's going on, but don't get emotionally dragged into the dark stuff. And most importantly, don't get into the anger mode, because then you're just feeding them, right?
Yeah.
And like I said earlier, I was going through that David Icke span for 3-4 years, and I still think he's doing an awesome job. I'm not dissing him, but at that time when I was reading all his books, I was like, filled with anger. The Illuminati, they're controlling us. What can I do about it? And then I realized that I'm just feeding them, the reptiles, and I'm not doing that anymore. I'm putting them on a diet. So.
Yeah, when I was looking into the reptilians and stuff too, I went down that dark path so far, I had to stop and check out because I knew I was going way too far down that rabbit hole. But I found out what it was about, and that's all I needed to do, and then came back up.
And that's good to educate yourself, but don't get lost in it, right? And at the same time, don't stick your head in the sand like an ostrich. And like a lot of hardcore New Agers, and I don't want to diss them, but a lot of them are all, love and light, and just. Don't just look at the bad stuff as just send love, and just ignore the bad stuff. And it's like, no, you have to look at the bad stuff as well, because it needs to be addressed, but don't get dragged into it. So, you know what I mean? Like, you have to have a happy balance with it all, right?
Right, yeah. So you got your, you can't see the good without seeing the bad, because you don't know how good the good is until you see how bad the bad is.
Exactly, yeah. So, anyway, so...
Yeah, carry on.
So after that, I said to him, so no polar flip, because I thought it was going to be like a big, like everybody's saying the earth is going to flip and, it's going to flood everybody's going to die. And I said, so no polar flip or Nibiru hitting us? And he said to me, no, actually, you need to take the word fear out of Nibiru. It's a planet that will play a big part in the cosmic galactic dance that's coming soon. And I said to him, what do you mean? And he said, let's just say, you know how every August you get the tons of meteor showers. And he said, always on my birthday, because he was born in August. You get the tons of meteor showers. He said, well, take that and multiply that by 1,000,000. The players are taking their positions for the cosmic game, this grand event. Many planets are ascending and moving up alongside with the planet Earth. And then I asked him, what do you mean by players? You know, the players are taking their positions. And he said, players meaning planets. So instead of fireworks in the sky or meteor showers, there's going to be big fireworks times 1,000,000 that's made up of planets that are in the sky, and Nibiru apparently is one of it. And for him to say, take the word fear out of Nibiru, it's actually going to be one of the planets, one of the players, was another confirmation for me, because for like the last couple of years, I obsessively went into all the YouTube channels about Nibiru and Planet X. Is it going to hit us? When are we going to die? Blah, blah, blah. And so I was just like, oh my God, you know, it's coming closer, and, you know, we better repent. We better, you know, get prepared, get water and food. And, you know, and so for him to say, no, it's not going to happen. Like, you need to take the word fear out of Nibiru. It's one of the players, you know, so that was more confirmation for me.
See, this is really interesting, because I think a month, maybe 2 months ago, I actually had a vision, which, how do you tell a vision's different than a dream? It felt different. I don't even know how to explain it, but I seen the sun to the left, and then I seen this Nibiru planet. It looked like a bigger sun closer up, and it had the flower of life on it.
Oh, wow.
And then my uncle was there, and I was like, was that Nibiru? And he's like, yep, that's Nibiru. And it was right there, and then I heard like this music, like the time was changing, and it's like, wow, that just confirms like exactly what you're saying, that it's going to have a play. And it's like, you would think if a big planet was going to get that close that we would start seeing it by now, of course. But maybe it's cloaked, maybe the Illuminati's cloaking it, maybe it just appears and frequency shifts here. There's so many different things that can happen.
Yeah, and I mean, I went down the rabbit hole with that too, and I'm still trying to figure out, because there's a whole bunch of channels saying that the sun that's in the sky is not our original sun anymore. It's actually a sun simulator that was put up there by NASA to conceal planet Nibiru coming in, or any other planets, right? So there's that as well. So I don't know. I'm on the fence with this, you know, with the sun simulator and the trying to cloak what's, you know, going on behind it. If Nibiru is coming in and then making a solar eclipse, right? So I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? I guess we'll find out maybe.
Yeah. Okay, so the next question for him was, I asked him, you mean all of these souls crossing over soon is from the ascension process? Is it true the whole planet is moving into 5D? And he said, yes, it's what you and your New Age hippie friends have been preaching about all these years. That sounds so much like him. I know you tried to wake me up, and I thought you were a conspiracy nut, but now I see the big picture. All the planets are moving up. We are all shifting together.
Yeah, and you can actually see that, how it's just not the Earth changing right now. All the planets are. And my co-host might have got a little upset, but I did an episode on the climate and how that might be a hoax, the climate change. You have to look at all the planets in the solar system. They're all changing. They're all heating up, and they're showing different glows. And it's like, that's a big part of it. And we can see the change. And just it's happening on Earth.
Yeah, and I believe the Schumann resonance that used to be 7.5 hertz on Earth has gone through the roof. It's now up to 36 or 52 or something I heard yesterday, and I think it's happening with the other planets as well. So everything is vibrating higher and moving up, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so my next question for him was, what about UFOs? And he said, I need another 2 hours just to talk about them, Mom. I know I always harassed you about cloud ships. So when we went on long car trips, road trips, I saw so many clouds in the sky that looked like UFOs, and I tried to wake him up, and I said, look, there's another UFO. It's cloaked, like a cloud. So for him to say, yeah, I know I always harassed you about cloud ships, but they are for real. And he said, he needs another 2 hours just to talk about them. And so my next question tied into that was, well, will they evacuate us? There are so many sightings now. And he said, well, I don't really see any humans evacuated onto ships, as they would as that would traumatize them even more. Right now, there are tons from all different star systems around Earth, mostly watching and protecting and keeping their eyes on any nuclear facilities or missiles, as well as checking for space to keep you protected. Then they are all gathering here to watch the big show. And I said to him, what? And he said, okay, Mom, kind of like, say, you give birth to your firstborn in the hospital, and every one of your family members is in that room with you to watch this miraculous birth, because you're all very excited for this event. Well, so it's like that. UFOs come to watch Earth give birth, but the planet itself will not be destroyed by war or Nibiru.
Wow.
So that was interesting.
Yeah.
That we do have our benevolent space brothers and sisters watching us and protecting us, and especially keeping eyes out for all the nuclear facilities, nuclear missiles going up, Fukushima, anything like that, and protecting us. Lots of protection in space as well.
Yeah, I'm sure they had a big play in Fukushima.
Mm-hmm. So I asked him about the healing domes, what they look like inside. And he said, completely magical. Imagine being inside an orb, like an observatory, where when you lay down as a patient, at night you see the sky with stars on the ceiling, and during the day at the ceiling of the dome you see blue sky and white puffy clouds. No chemtrails, Mom, haha. Because I tried to wake him up about chemtrails, and he always said, yeah, sure, Mom, conspiracy nut, right? But now he's actually admitting it. He sees the big picture, right? And he said, he carries on, and he says, plus it looks like rainbows and sunshine inside. And he goes, okay, Mom, take all the New Age crystal stores in the world with all their energy and all the angels and crystals and incense, New Age music, healing colors and scents, and stick them all into one healing dome. Then add little water fountains, birds, butterflies, dragonflies, fairies, sparkles, and sprinkles, and you get the idea of healing domes.
Sounds like a trip.
Yeah, so that was interesting to hear about the healing domes, what they look like inside. And basically what they're doing is, when all these traumatized souls are arriving from Earth, they will be put into these healing domes, and there's going to be color therapy, sound therapy, like light therapy, aromatherapy, crystal therapy. And all happening with flowers and trees and water fountains and little butterflies, birds buzzing around, and music. And so it's very, very tranquil and very healing.
Should help bring them over. yeah,
no kidding, right?
Yeah, they're gonna need that, that's for sure.
Yeah. Then he also gave me he told me to get more into energy work, because he said to me, get into energy work, you're gonna need it big time on the other side, because you can't massage people when you're in spirit and energy forms. So that made me go and take my Reiki level 1 and Reiki level 2 course, Attunement, to incorporate that into my work when I massage people. So basically, he said that's what's needed over there. They're going to do energy therapy. And by the way, ever since I had the Reiki 1 and Reiki 2 attunement, that's pretty much taken care of about 90% of my grief. It was just like a switch hit, and it was like, oh my God, I'm not crying every day anymore ever since I've gotten the Reiki, right? And I do a lot of Reiki every day, like from morning to night, literally. First thing I get up in the morning, during the day with my clients, and then at night when I go to bed. And that's really helped me a lot. So he actually prompted me to get into that and do that. So I thank him for that.
Sounds like you got more work to do on the other side then.
Yeah. And well, I won't be massaging people anymore, thank God, because I'm kind of burning out after 22 years. Okay, so he also told me a little bit more about the Cosmic Galactic Show. I just wrote a little blurb here. He said it will be like fireworks in the sky, but a million times more beautiful, and with stars and planets instead of pyrotechnics. And he told me that because when he was a little boy, he was like a pyrotechnic maniac, if that's the word, always playing with matches, trying to put things on fire. And the first Christmas when we missed him here, the Christmas bow accidentally fell down onto a candle and almost put my whole place on fire.
Oh, boy.
As we were talking about him, my oldest son and me, right, in that second, boom, that bow falls down and into the fire, and we were laughing into the candle, and it's like, yeah, that's so typical Christopher, the little pyrotechnic maniac, right? So for him to say it's going to be fireworks without the man-made pyrotechnics, that was kind of a little inside joke.
So it's like it's literally going to be like explosions in the sky? Is that what we're kind of saying now?
I don't know about explosions, because that almost sounds like there's going to be damage or something. But like the way he said it was like meteor showers, I guess. But instead of like little stars, there's going to be big planets that are doing that. So.
And this is the event.
This is the big event, yeah. He called it the Cosmic Galactic Show, Cosmic Galactic Event also. So that was interesting. And then he also said, also Jesus won't come down on a cloud either, like so many churches believe. Let's just say he will be everyone's so-called Walmart greeter when we're all crossing over. So that was another one of his jokes, right? And then I said to him, how do I know all this info is for real? And he said, Mom, I hate to say I did lie to you a few times while alive on Earth, mostly about money and stuff, so you don't worry. But this time I need you to trust me. I am not shitting you with any of this. And I excuse my French, but that's what he said, and I didn't want to edit it just so that you don't think I'm editing stuff, and also I want you to feel his spirit, what he was like. So
yeah, he sounds like a typical
26
person. Yeah, 26-year-old.
Yeah, exactly right. And so my next question was, how long till we all reunite again? And he said, oh, Mom, time is so hard to nail down for us from up here where there's only now. It's like scooping up a handful of water and asking me how many drops of water are in there. Little drops, medium drops, big drops. I don't know how much longer. Months, not years, is all I keep hearing. And then he said, gotta go do a final light check on the healing domes. I don't know what that means. Anyways, and that was the download for February 14th for Valentine's Day. And then at the end, he said, Mom, you're fading and almost asleep. I'm losing you, but please write this down before you fall asleep tonight. You might not remember anything tomorrow. And so, yeah, I wrote that into my art book, all my wonderful art.
Well, I'm glad you did, because that was a lot of information for one download.
That was a lot of information. And, to all the listeners out there, please do take your time, watching this, reading through it, whatever, because it was a lot of information for me to absorb, and I've had a year to basically digest it and see what to make of it. So, it's quite overwhelming, and but that was, very interesting. Oh, and at the end of that, also on Valentine's Day, before he left, he told me that our 19-year-old cat, Shadow, which sadly we had to put down 6 months before Christopher passed away, he actually came with me to the vet, and he was very, very old. I tried to help him and heal him, and it was just getting to the end where the vet was saying we have to put him down. So Christopher and me went to the vet, and, he kind of fell asleep in our arms, and we cried and stuff. And so Christopher told me, Shadow is here, and he can shapeshift like into a human. He says he's hilarious, and he's actually having beer with him at a beach at a tiki bar, and I know it sounds crazy, he downloaded a picture of the cat Shadow standing up like Puss in Boots at this little tiki bar on this tropical beach with, the umbrella, the straw umbrella, with a little round table, and there's 2 bottles of beer, and, the cat is having 1 beer, and Christopher is showing me this picture. So that was hilarious. That was kind of a nice treat to see my cat again, having a beer with Christopher at a tiki bar. So I just wanted to put that in there.
Yeah, that's another good thing, because people are worried about their animals too.
Right.
And mine just passed away. My dog passed away in December. So it's like you kind of wonder if you're ever going to see her again, or if, maybe she started a new life. But I guess on the other side, you can't really say time it's irrelevant, really. So.
Oh, I'm sorry for your loss.
It does hurt, that's for sure. But
yeah, because it's like your baby, your family member.
I had a dog before, and I didn't get as emotional. With this one, I don't know if it's because of the new energy coming into the planet or what. It just seemed like everything was amplified, and it hurt even more. But it's all part of it. Even though I know that she's starting a new life or going to a better place, I know all that stuff. It's still,
It's very hard, yeah, because it does feel like a family member. Right? Yep. I mean, they have their own personalities and little quirks, and, and you miss that when they're gone, right?
Oh, yeah. And then you think that they're going to walk out into the kitchen from the living room, and then they don't. And it's like you still think that they're there. And
oh, I know.
Yeah.
That kind of lingers still for a few days and weeks, their spirit and their energy, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of us do wonder, where do our pets go? Where do our animals go, right? Are they in a separate heaven, like a dog heaven and a cat heaven, so they don't fight? But now we know.
Well, I'm really under the firm belief that after their life as a dog or cat, that their next life is going to be a human incarnation.
Yeah. Did you find anything out?
Yeah, because like with Dolores Cannon, you'll start out as a blade of grass and then do a rock incarnation, and then you'll just go up. And then the last one is like a dog, because then you're getting closer to the human experience. And then you start, the humans teach you how to act more, not as a pact, as dogs would act, more of singularity as a person. And then the next life is human. Right.
Yeah, you could be right. Or we're all meeting on the new earth, and we no longer need to reincarnate. Yeah. I mean, I've been hearing that too, that this wheel of reincarnation was actually a construct made by the powers that were, as I like to call them, that came to this planet 450,000 years ago, the Anunnaki, who enslaved humanity and basically manipulated our DNA and chopped us down from 12 strands to 2 strands, and kept us in a time loop and of constant perpetual reincarnation to feed off us, basically, right? And this is being dismantled as we speak, thanks to Donald Trump and many other people on the other side, and higher guides and angels and archangels, and it's all being dismantled. And so I don't think we have to reincarnate anymore and come back into the human form, but who knows, maybe on another planet. But I don't think it's going to be another, cycle of enslavement. If we do go into another life, I think it's going to be, where we actually use our innate powers, our creativity, and make it a beautiful planet. And we all create different things and come together. It's like a big happy potluck dinner instead of being stuck in this matrix that's, you know, constantly looping and looping and looping, and there's no end.
It's
right?
getting old. You can feel it's like I'm just ready for the next thing.
Okay, so after Valentine's Day, the next download I tried to reconnect with him every night and nothing came through, and it almost seems like the harder I try, you know, the less he's gonna come through. And then when I do just go whatever, that's when, you know, I get the download. And so the next big one was at the beginning of June, and it's going to be a bit lengthy, but it's so very full of information and very emotional. And basically what he was telling me is, I was asking him, where are we at right now in terms of time frame and the event, you know, on planet Earth? And this is the beginning of June 2017. And he downloaded into me that, okay, Mom, so it's kind of like, you know, if you go to a symphony orchestra and you go for a very nice piece of music and you've gone a million times before, you know what to expect. And you take a friend with you that has never ever gone before and doesn't know what to expect. And he says, now you have gone a million times. You represent the awake people, and the friend that has never gone before, that represents the asleep people who don't know what's going on. So you take your friend to the symphony orchestra, you go upstairs into your little balcony, and you look below, and there's this big orchestra. And he downloaded this picture into my head. You see this big orchestra of all the musical instruments playing, rehearsing. They're sitting there, and your friend says, well, what is this all about? You know, this is all crazy because you're rehearsing and it sounds like, you know, it's all mangled and they're warming up their instruments and it just sounds like horrible chaos.
Everybody's doing their own thing.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And you take your friend's hand and you say, relax, don't worry, the best is yet to come, just wait. And, you know, your friend is still freaking out and let me out of here, this is horrible, how can this be beautiful? And you keep saying, just relax, the best is yet to come, just wait. And then so for about 10-15 minutes, this orchestra is rehearsing, and all of a sudden everything gets dead quiet and it gets very dark in the concert hall. And again, your friend is freaking out saying, oh my God, what's going on? This is like, are we going straight to hell? Why is it so dark and so quiet? And again, you take your friend's hand and you say, just wait, the best is yet to come. Sorry. And then all of a sudden, there's a little light that comes on stage, and your friend is going, what the heck is going on? Is this, you know, Satan or what? And what's going on? And you just say, just relax, just wait. And the conductor walks up on stage and the light shines on him. And your friend, again, is freaking out saying, is this the devil? Oh my God, let me out of here. You know, it's so dark and quiet. And you keep telling your friend, just relax, the best is yet to come. And then all of a sudden, the conductor goes up, goes behind his podium, and he's raising the stick, and all of a sudden the orchestra starts to play. I'm sorry, this always gets me. And out of every instrument and out of every heart in that orchestra comes millions of little red hearts that go up, 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 up into the ceiling and through the ceiling and into the sky and into the galaxies. And now everybody hears this beautiful, harmonious song of love, of unconditional love and bliss and peace and joy. And it just like envelopes the whole audience, everybody in the concert hall, and now everybody's feeling the love, and it's so infectious, and everybody has little millions of little red hearts coming out of their hearts and out of the instruments, and it's all going up and it's permeating the whole universe. And your friend is just like, wow, this is amazing, right? And then you turn to your friend and you say, now, wasn't this worth waiting for? Didn't I tell you the best was yet to come? Sorry, this always gets me, because when he downloaded that into my brain with the messages and the pictures, and it went with with music along and with the emotions. I could feel all the emotions and music and everything. I could feel the love and the peace, and it was just like, oh my God, this is what it must feel like in heaven on the other side, right? And so that was an amazing download. And so
we're at the point before the orchestra starts.
I said to him, why are you showing me this whole thing? And he said to me, because you asked me, where are you guys in terms of time frame on planet Earth right now? And this is beginning of June 2017. And he said to me, you guys are at the very tail end of that rehearsal. And then he adamantly said in big capital letters, do not mistake the calm for the calm before the storm. There isn't going to be a storm. It's the calm before the most amazing event ever in history. And yeah, so we're just at the tail end of that chaotic rehearsal, and this is why it sounds like it's all going crazy on planet Earth and nothing makes sense and everybody's freaking out and everybody just wants to run away because it's chaos. And he said, and then of course after they finished practicing and warming up their instruments, there is that peace, that calm before the conductor comes on stage. And this is why he adamantly said, do not mistake the calm before the storm. There isn't going to be a storm. There's only going to be an amazing event ever in human history ever, the most amazing love event you will ever witness.
See, this is interesting because right now I used to get so involved into the conspiracy stuff, into the political stuff, but now I'm kind of I'm just backed off from it, and I'm like, whatever. It feels like more calm on my side. So that kind of feels like this is going to be the calm, and then we're going to hit.
Exactly. And I mean, Shane even touched on that Donald Trump said something about the calm before the storm a few months ago. I believe it was October last year.
Absolutely.
You guys know what this represents?
Tell us, sir.
Maybe it's the calm before the storm.
What's the storm?
Could be the calm before the storm.
But what he was referring to was the storm for the Illuminati, for the dark ones. It's going to be an SHIT storm for them because they're being, kicked off the planet and it's game over for them.
Yeah, and there's a lot going on behind the scenes. I wish it was more up front because he's doing all this stuff behind the scenes, and then there's this front where it's like, oh, this guy's just an idiot, and then blah, 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 and then the average person doesn't see the stuff behind the scenes, and they don't realize how much purging is going on, what he's doing.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And I've heard too that he works with the white hats, with the benevolent people, that he's here basically to help the planet. And also that when he does stupid stuff that you scratch your head and you go, come on, how can this guy be spiritual and helping the planet? That he's doing that on purpose to mislead the powers that were, because that message came through one of the QHHT clients. I think, was it Allison Cole that touched on that? I forget. But she was also talking about the big event.
Yeah, it was either her, it might have been Elba Weinman too. One of those two.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, Elba Weinman.
But yeah, that's why he's the perfect candidate, because it throws both sides off. There's some things that he does on like, well, whose side are you on? And then then we'll see some good stuff happen. Then I'm gonna go back and forth, and then keeps you guessing.
I do believe he does a lot of work behind the scenes, and that we don't even know. And I think this is where QAnon comes on, or QAnon.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, so that was interesting. So that was the beginning of June last year. And then the next download, like I said, I keep trying to connect with him every night and nothing comes through. And then in August last year, he came through. He's knocking on my brain as I'm trying to go to sleep, and I figure, okay, while he's here, I got him now. I'm gonna knock on his brain and ask him, or I'm gonna grill him about the Mandela effect, because everybody's trying to figure out, what is this? What's happening? And I figure, well, perfect to ask him, right? So I've actually written it down. Excuse me, if I can just read that.
Yeah, go for it.
I asked him, I said, tell me more about the Mandela effect. And he actually snickered and giggled, and I could see his picture, his face, right? And he couldn't stop laughing with mischief on his face as usual. And it almost made me mad. I'm like, and I said, what is so freaking funny, right? And he said, Mom, the Mandela effect is all us in capital letters. We are the ones doing it. Our higher selves, our oversouls on the other side are doing it. It's so funny to watch ourselves from up here. It's like watching ants. You guys down there are in a so-called computer game matrix, and it was originally set up eons ago on Earth for experience, but was hijacked by the darkies. Our higher selves split up into many, many aspects to infiltrate the system from within to get rid of the dark ones. We are all one in capital letters. Just think of every soul on earth as a beautiful grain of sand. Each is unique. Each is like a piece of glass inside a kaleidoscope. It is always the same pieces and all contained in the same container. But with every turn you make, it shows a different picture. We had forgotten who we really are, and so we, our higher selves, needed to send ourselves reminders through fun and play with the Mandela logos and all that, so we would not feel threatened to think it's evil stuff. We needed to put a fun spin on things to remind ourselves of our heritage, to find our way home. We had decided to play hide and seek and got lost for a very, very long time. It started out as a fun game, but we all got so lost on Earth. Now it's time to wake up. Now, the reason we had decided to use Nelson Mandela is because we wanted to actually get the message across to ourselves that we are each a grain of beautiful sand, just like the Tibetan monks do when they make mandalas. We are all unique and beautiful pieces of sand that make up that whole mandala that is so painstakingly put together by so many Tibetan monks with so much love and meditation and dedication. And when it is all finished, it creates a beautiful picture of oneness through love. Then the Dalai Lama will say a prayer, mix all the sand together into a beautiful rainbow pile of grains of sand, and take it to the river and dump it in there with a blessing of love that will be carried all over the world through the water. So that was the message. He gave me that. And then he actually downloaded the picture of the Tibetan monks doing it painstakingly. And what I saw was them holding a little stick. It looked like a pair of tweezers. And so I actually said that, I think, in Shane's videos that, you know, it looked like it was a pair of tweezers. But when you Google it and when you go on YouTube video and you look at how they do it, it's like a little pipe, and they painstakingly put all these mandalas together and they bless it all with prayers and meditations. So
yeah, it would still take a long time, but not as bad as tweezers.
Not bad as tweezers, I know, right?
And then when they're done, they just smear it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like,
and so
oh,
that's...
no.
I know. It's like and it takes them like 2-3 weeks to put it together, and the Dalai Lama will come and just smush it all together, dump it all into the waters and bless it, which now goes all over the world, right? But the main message was that basically the Mandela effect is us, you know, we're sending ourselves reminders from up there, from the other side, from our oversoul, and we split up into so many different aspects down here, and you know, waking us up. And because we had gotten so lost in why we came here, who we are, why, you know, and infiltrating the system, trying to wake people up. So That was interesting. I did not expect that at all. I didn't even know what mandalas were. I kind of heard about them, but I thought it was something you just paint or whatever, right? I thought it was painting until I went on YouTube after I got the download, and I checked out the videos, and I'm like, wow, my jaw just dropped because it's the same download I got, except the tweezers were now a little pipe, right?
Yeah, I had no idea until you mentioned it. I didn't even know. I never heard the name before, so.
And so according to him, the reason they used the Nelson Mandela was to remind us of the mandalas, you know. They could have easily called it the Mandela effect, but...
And when he says it's us, he's talking about like me and you, our higher
selves, yeah, like your oversoul, which, like, there's so many different aspects of you, you know, on this planet. And when you put them all together, that makes up you, your whole oversoul on top there, on the other side in 5D. And so we actually can see ourselves doing it down here, but we had split up in so many different aspects that we had forgotten who we are because we got so caught up in the rat race and the Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, making a living, paying bills and eating and drinking and, you know, watching TV and, you know, trying to be better than the neighbors. And we're getting so wrapped up in the rat race, and that we needed a reminder to bring us all home. So now it's time to go home.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm ready. I think we're all
Yeah.
ready.
I think we're all overdue, right? We're super ready.
When I get over there, I'm going to be like, what took so long?
I don't know. Maybe things were stalled for a few years. That's what I think, you know. That
Right. That's the thing you hear about. The event's supposed to happen this time, and then it got delayed, and then it got delayed, and it got delayed. Well, I'm tired of it being delayed. The time is now.
Yeah. I know, and you keep hearing so many dates, and it's like, you know, I've been at it since 1987, and you heard so much about, you know, December 21st, 2012.
So you're probably really tired.
I was just like, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Yeah.
And the date came, and the next day I woke up, I'm like, I'm still here. I still have to go to work. I still have to pay bills. Nothing happened. And I think a lot of us light workers just went, you know, that's it. I'm done. And I mean, if I had a penny for every time I said, that's it, I quit. God, you know, I'm done. I'm not doing this.
I did do that too myself, because my awakening took place in about 2006, and I was like, oh, if nothing happens in 2012, I guess I'm done, and I have to figure out what I'm going to do for the rest of this incarnation. And now here I am doing the show yet. So we're starting the show.
I know, right? And so that date came and nothing happened. And then, you know, a lot of us lost courage. But, you know, once you're awake, Dan, I mean, you can't go back to sleep. It's like the baby is born. You can't stick it back in there, right? Once you're awake, you can't go back to sleep and say, okay, I don't want to hear about this anymore. I don't want to do this anymore. And as much as I wanted to quit, it's like, okay, no, I got to keep going. I got to keep going. And I think that date was purposely put into that, you know, it was given to us on purpose wrongly. I think the whole calendar was screwed up. It was originally the calendar was based on the Julian calendar, I believe it's called, and then it was changed over into the Gregorian calendar, which made us, you know, it used to be the year was 13 months made out of 28 days a month based on the moon, right? And so they chopped it all up. They made it into 12 months, and now you're missing a day here. You have to add it there. And so I've actually, you know, investigated about that whole thing. And I heard, too, that we're off by 5 years, that because they purposely mucked around with our calendar to steer us away from the true awakening, the true event, the true homecoming, which is now 5 years later, that we're actually off by 5 years, which is now, right?
I also heard myself through Corey Good's information that the Blue Avians put these spheres out in our solar system to slow down the energy coming in, because we weren't ready. And if that energy would have came in, it would have been more devastating than it would be now, because now more people are awake. You know, I started stepping up my meditation to help bring the energy in, and you can see it. There's the people that meditate and are more spiritual were having an easier time with this transition. Then there's chaos on the other side where people don't take the time to spiritually elevate themselves.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, and if you look at, where people are at right now compared to 5 years ago, there were so many people still asleep, and now so many, even some of my friends that I thought they would never wake up, and I'd almost given up on them, they're now waking up because they see one YouTube video and it links you into more and more and more, and then they're coming to me going, did you know about the planet is controlled by reptilians? I'm like,
that's
yes. I tried to tell you in 1990, but you thought I was crazy. So now, the conspiracy is now turning into truth, right?
Yep, absolutely. All right, so what's next?
So after that was a huge one. The last one, not the last one, the next one was the middle of December. He downloaded a picture of himself into my brain again at night when I'm trying to go to sleep, and he's sitting on a big rock, and it's summertime, and I can see the sun, and he's sweating like crazy, and he's got a big bottle of beer in his hand and a big smile on his face, and he said to me, "Hi, Mom. Just wanted to let you know the worst is now behind us." And he kind of made a pause as if it's a metaphor for us down here as well. The worst is now behind us. We are now finished building the healing domes, and we're now all chillaxing and having a cold one. And he's lifting up his beer bottle and laughing. And he said, we're now focusing on detailing the inside of the healing domes, getting them all prepared. And then I felt Jesus' energy between the three of us all connecting. I didn't see his face because sometimes I see and sometimes I don't, but I felt his energy. But I did hear his voice saying, it is finished. Jesus actually saying that telepathically, it is finished. And that was bizarre. And poof, he was gone.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I tried to reconnect with him, and I actually mentioned it also to Alexandra Metters, and then she talked to me on the phone for an hour. She wanted more information from Christopher and to see, if I get any more downloads about, more about the healing domes and stuff. So I told her about that one, and then she kind of put pressure on him, and I put pressure on him saying, come on, Alexandra wants to know more, right? And so I tried to connect with him, and nothing. And then one night he did give me little snippets, like very quick, and then poof, gone. And it only lasted for like a minute or two. And where is it now? Right here. I tried to get him to come through on January 22nd is what I got from my guides as I was falling asleep before his download. So January 22nd, 2018, I had the guides telling me 4 words that kept going through my head over and over and over and over. And the 4 words were cosmic galactic show coming. And I'm like, whoa, what the heck? And I tried to go to sleep, and this happened like 20, 30 times over and over and over. And I actually saw it in capital letters with my eyes closed, to the point where it's like, okay, I got it. Can I go to sleep now? But I wrote that down. That was very important.
So they definitely wanted that to stick out.
They wanted that to stick out, or else they wouldn't have said that over and over and over and over 20, 30 times, to the point where I got mad at them. And it's like, okay, shut up, I'm trying to go to sleep. Because they've come through before, when I was in my deepest, darkest abyss of grieving, and I was having a pity party, and they actually scolded me and said to me in capital letters, I saw it again running through my head, and they told me, you did not come down here to join the victims. You came down here to be the victor. And I'm like, whoa. I mean, I'm in the middle of a pity party. I want sympathy. I don't want to be scolded, right? So I know when they come through what it sounds like and what it feels like. So when that came through, I knew that was coming from them. Cosmic Galactic Show coming. So that was the 22nd of January. And then the 26th of January this year, I got the last download from Christopher at 3 o'clock in the morning because I couldn't go to sleep again. And all I got was him saying the word Rainbow Gate. And it's like, huh? And then right after that, I heard a male voice saying, "Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven." And then a second later, I saw a big triangle, black triangle UFO over my head with 6 red lights underneath. And that lasted for like a couple of seconds. And then boom, the next scene was, then I asked him, was that the whole message? Because I wrote it down. And then he said, and cut, just like a movie director. And then I saw Jesus saying, "The lion will lie down with the lamb." I actually saw the face of Jesus, just like in that intro for Shane's video, where he actually says, "The lion will lie down with the lamb."
The lion, not the wolf.
Not the wolf, the lion will lie down with the lamb, right? And then Christopher said, and cut again, but this time I actually saw him with that black and white scene cutter when people make movies, right? He was holding it in his hand, and he was actually had it open, and then he closed it, and he said, and cut. And that's all I got from him. And then I asked him about when will the event happen, and all he said was, "It's just around the corner," with big smiles and giggles, and poof, he was gone. And as he left, he put the song into my head. He's a master of putting songs into my head. The graduation song that at high school graduation, when the graduates walk down in their gowns and their hats, and it's like da 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 da. So I guess it's graduation time.
So you gotta wonder, because we got the event of the new Earth. So the event must happen, and then the time in between must be the graduation, and then the Earth is the new life. I don't know.
I know, right? It's all
because
trying to.
It sounds like they're gonna be, we're gonna have the event, and there's gonna be time yet on this planet before we get to that new Earth.
I don't know what to tell you in terms of time and how it's all going to unfold. I'm just a messenger, don't shoot me. I don't know how it's going to happen, but, it's definitely around the corner. I can feel it, like what you were saying earlier. It's not just, I'm a grieving, wishful mother that's delusional, hoping to reconnect with her son. Because, no, I lost my parents. Like, I lost my mom when I was 20. I lost my dad, a few years later. And I grieved hard over losing my mom. And I didn't get any information. I had a few dreams about her. And, yeah, this is totally different. This is... I know there's going to be a reunion, and it's just around the corner. And I actually, I'm glad I did email Alexandra Matters for confirmation, because she confirmed not only the messages of my son, but also the healing domes. And also, I did have, when all this was happening, right after the big download, I forgot to mention I had a client on my massage table, and she's a well-renowned medium here in Calgary in Canada. And she works hand in hand with the police finding missing children. And she also worked in America for a few years. And that was the first time I ever met her. It's not like we're hanging out or anything at all. I've only massaged her a couple of times. But that first time she was on my table, she told me she's a medium, which told me, got me talking about my son and all these messages with Donald Trump and world events and, the new Earth and the galactic show coming and all that stuff. She confirmed every single message. She told me, this is true. You're not making stuff up. And then I said to her, well, I'd love to get more messages from my son. Can I come see you for a session, because she does readings with contacting people on the other side. And she said to me, Angela, don't be silly. You don't need me. Why would you want to spend money? Come for a session and see me when you have direct contact and get direct messages from your son from the other side. And I mean, she could have easily taken that opportunity to reel me in, and yeah, $250 an hour later, you know, yeah, come see me for 10 times, you know, and make some money off me. But she said, no, you don't need me. You get direct confirmation from your son and messages from the other side. So that was more confirmation for me.
That's kind of how you know people are the real deal.
Right.
Yeah. So anything else you want to add then before we wrap up?
There was one message that he gave me, like I said, this early on, not really a message. It was, well, I guess it was a message before all these downloads, when I was in the middle of my deep, heavy grieving and I got scolded by my guides. My son actually said to me, do not, like in capital letters, do not lay down and die. Not now. You are so close. Because back then I had a death wish. I have to be serious. I wanted nothing but to, you know, I pray to God every night, take me home, because, you know, I want to be with my baby again. 90% of my family is on the other side. And, you know, I will not survive this. You know, him taking his life is very hard. I'm not going to be able to deal with this. And I was ready to I want to die, basically, right? I'm going to be very honest. And so he scolded me and he said, Mom, do not lay down and die. Not now. You are so close. And so that was definitely, you know, a message for me to keep going. And we're going to be reunited again soon. It's, you know, the big event is just around the corner.
Right. Yeah. And that kind of goes in with Allison Coe's information, Q1. Well, she said January, February, March. So we're kind of at the end of February now. So we got to be getting close here. So we'll see what happens, I guess. And
I know, right? So, we'll see what happens, yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for joining me, Angela. And I hope the audience loved this as well. I'm sure it got a little long here, but this information was real important. I wanted to get it out here before something happens, or people have a lot of questions on their mind, that we answered those questions here as well. So I'm Dan Hohlfeld, joined by Angela Gabrielle. We'll see you guys later.